Come on. You ready? Yeah. Brothers and sisters, let us take this moment to honor booze, wine, liquor, hooch, spirits. For as harassed, banished, and loathed as it is in some circles of our society, for us, it is a vital aspect of our beautiful friendships, relationships, and marriages.
Hear, hear!
Wine, whiskey, and beer, our only real spiritual sacrament, in bars, at home, or here on the street. It is booze that unites us for this festival, and any day, all day. But there's going to be plenty.
But, I'm not ranting and raving. I love this. I'm having a good time doing it.
Let's say hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down, y'all.
Hunker down.
Hunker down. Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Fuck them. Yeah, anyway. Not Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty, but just the Oscars.
Exactly.
I enjoyed it. It was fine.
Yeah, the only thing about doing the parade is that I don't get to see Crew of Mid-City, and I don't get to see Okeanos, and I don't get to do Box of Wine, which prior to my days in Toth, Box of Wine was a huge event for me. Like, I used to really enjoy seeing them come.
How long has it been going on?
Definitely pre-Katrina. It's I can't remember exactly when I first started seeing it, but I remember when I remember in the first couple of times I saw it that I thought it was just the coolest thing because it's just this random happening that emerges, especially if you're not looking for it, you know. But but you guys you take it to the next level.
We have Mid-City. First of all, did it start in Mid-City?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then Carrollton. Did it start on Carrollton? The Crew of Carrollton?
Oh, you mean this year? Did they start?
No, I mean ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at one point, these are like Allah and Cleopatra. They're parades that started elsewhere that ended up uptown.
That's correct. Yeah. Also, Pontchartrain.
Laurel Street Bakery. That's not a Laurel Street Bakery.
Also, the Crew of Pontchartrain used to go down Hayne Boulevard, out in the east. So
it's continuing the New Orleans tradition of things having names of places that they're not at.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Well, Mid-City had some beautiful art, and I don't know who was doing the art for their
they have
floats,
those,
but it was decidedly different than every other.
Yeah, they do the tinfoil floats.
Yeah, that's their signature. Every year they do those aluminum foil.
Well, I loved it. It looked really good, probably because I'm kind of a fan. I like that kind of...
It looks cool. I haven't seen it in years.
Style. Grapes of Wrath float in particular was really good. And I forgot who turned me on to... My friend Katie, who's now in Box of Wine with the Crew de Rouge, which is an all-redhead crew. She said, yeah, you got to see this thing called Box of Wine. It's really cool. And then we did it a couple years... and they come around basically holding their walking crew that the Noisician Coalition leads, and they carry boxes of wine, and anyone who wants to, they'll pour the wine into their mouth. And what we've taken to do is to like get on our knees before them and make it easier for them so they can just drain the wine into our mouths. And then we've now taken to wearing white while we do this so that the red wine spills all over us and we become like kind of whitish and purplish pink by the end of the day.
And there are something like between 15 and 20 of you gathered.
Now there is. It started with like 4 or 5.
Right.
And then we weren't wearing white. But now then we started wearing white, and that drew attention to us, and more people started coming. So now it's up to about 20 people.
Right.
The good thing about it is that you, or slash bad thing about it is that you drink the equivalent, at least, of one of those big bottles of wine in about 10 minutes. Like, because you just grab somebody who's carrying a box and you pull them and you say yes, and then you get on your knees and then they just open up the spout and then they just go until one of you says uncle or stop, and then everyone's really drunk, so there's a lot of movement, so the wine gets all over you, and if you're wearing white, so the red spills all over you and stuff. And obviously there's a lot of Franzia, but what struck me this year that of being a little crazy is that some of those people had Boda boxes of wine, which is the good box wine.
Wow.
And I'm like, and then it's like $18 for less. It's like a regular Franzia is like 5 bottles of wine, but these Boda boxes are like 3 bottles of wine. So why anyone would not just go all chillable red the whole time for this parade? Because you got several blocks to do.
Well, you got to have variety.
Do you?
Some people care about quality, man.
I appreciate that.
People
They're looking out for you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't appreciate it. I'm just wondering, like, hey, if you're just pouring it down someone's mouth in the street, I appreciate that you're seeing that the quality is there.
Yeah.
Because the Boto box is fine. It's the finer box wine. Anyways, we all did it, and Jeff's wife, Menkels, was the historian this year. There's lots of photography capturing it, and it's a very tribal sort of, there's a certain beauty to it. And because we're genuflecting, and there's these people just delivering this like wine, which is a symbol of blood. Bacchus is just like on its way at that time. And it's a mini Fat Tuesday type feeling, for us. And it's growing and growing. And anybody out there who wants to come next year, we meet at, what is it, St. Andrew and St. Charles, right by the subway?
There's a subway there.
Beneath an oak tree that we've named the Commander. I read a sermon beforehand. There's some clean bathrooms right by, as is noticed in the picture.
There's a video.
They let me write my sermon in the church this year. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
There's a video of the sermon, by the way. I'll probably
we'll post that.
put this somewhere.
And then when it comes, it really kicks things up a notch. Just to drink that much wine in that short a time. You think you're not going to be able to do it, but you do.
That Sunday, again, I've always said that Sunday is peak. And
it is.
And
it's where you start sprinting.
And
you've saved your space, and then at that point you can see the finish line, and Jesse Owens or so and so is right next to you, and you're like, I gotta make it.
Yeah,
we're sprinting now.
And I have been in my cups enough to participate in this interaction with the Box of Wine group, and I did not take it to the level that you guys do, because this is like, you're talking about how much wine you drink. I mean, I've gone up to them and said, let's do the, I would take the wine from them.
A little bit, yeah.
I would not, it sounds like you guys get all of it.
Yeah, you got to genuflect in front of them. A lot of the people in the crew of Ragnarok, which is the people who did the horse 2 years in a row, and who did Flash Gordon with me and Chewbacca's last year, are part of the Box of Wine Appreciation Society, which is what we've called ourselves. And you really just have to be willing to guzzle as much red wine as you can. So I try and just drink a couple little Miller Lights before that, so I can make sure that I don't get...
You're okay.
But I never seem to really go over the edge. I just feel really exhilarated afterwards. That feeling like you probably have at the same time after being done with Toth. That feeling or even sometimes that feeling you have on Ash Wednesday when it's all over and you're just sort of taking it all in.
Yeah. That's definitely it. It's like the universe is humming with you a little bit. Like it's
yeah,
got that kind
you're in touch with it. You're.
I have a question about where Box of Wine ends their route, because what I have started to notice is on my bike ride back from being on the float, I usually come back up Barone, and it's either on Barone. This is how drunk I am. It's either on Barone Street or OCH. Wherever it hits like Martin Luther King, there is a big street party going on about the time I'm coming back, and it
has to be there, huh?
It appears to be the leftovers of the Box of Wine group,
I don't
And
know where it begins or where it ends, and I'm fine with that. I like it just being this thing.
It's this mysterious
It's right
thing
there in the middle. Yeah.
So, but like I guess they don't make it all the way downtown because they
I'm
are
sure
hanging
they
out
don't.
there having a party
I'm
at that
sure
point.
they just kind of roll a couple blocks uptown.
Okay.
I think they're a bit of a like a gypsy parade in that they don't have permits or anything.
Yeah,
like
no,
that,
I mean
you
they
know?
just they get on their bikes and they like announce that Bacchus is coming, and
Yeah.
that's their whole shtick.
And by the time Bacchus gets there,
You know what they are?
we're all sure.
They are a derivative of Bacchus that is actually good.
They are. You're right. If we all agree that Chewbacca's and Bacchus sucks, but that's debatable. I certainly will not debate that box of wine is a beautiful experience.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And but nobody
I've never-
around us does it but us. Like by the time the people with the boxes of wine get there, when they finally see that someone's so enthusiastic to get it, they like all just run to us, and everybody can't wait. It might be like you with the beads when you're trying to get rid of, like they're all trying to get rid of their wine as much as possible.
It could be,
and we are more than willing to take it. But there's only like 20 of us, so
I've still never seen the box of wine parade.
you got to hang out after Toth is done.
I don't know. I feel like this year. I mean, I guess we're about to talk about Monday night, but Monday night is like the one that I always want to do the most.
Yeah, so I would like to start talking about Monday with you because you and I have very different ideas.
I have one more thing to say about
Okay.
Sunday, though, before we move on.
All right, Sunday.
So Sunday night, after I had already been friends with Christian 2 nights in a row, I was hanging out. I was very drunk from box of wine. Bacchus was coming. The celebrities had gone by, whoever the fuck they were. And I was partying and getting it and stuff. And I looked down, and there was this little girl, and she just looked up at me, and she just stuck her arms in the air, like pick me up. And I was like, yes, I'll pick you up. And I picked her up.
In your wine-soaked clothes?
Hell yeah. And then I went over to the floats, and I was getting all kinds of mad beads because she was cute as hell. And she was taking the beads that she wanted, and the ones that she didn't want, she was putting them around my neck. And I was like, oh my God, I love you, I love you. And then I looked behind me, and I was like, where's your mama at? And she was like, I was like, is that her? And she was like, no. And then I had to like walk
Oh my God.
a block with this little girl going, is that your parents? Is that your parents? Are those your people? Is that your family? Do you know this little girl? Do you know this little girl?
It's the beginning of a road movie.
Basically, yeah.
Varg
And
and this random girl.
nobody was saying they were hers. And I was like, I'm freaking out a little bit, but the second time, because I was just so drunk and full of love, especially with how cute she was, I was like, well, fuck it, man. You're just going to be my daughter, man. Like, I'm just going to raise you. I've been needing a daughter. I need something to straighten my life out.
Oh my God.
You're going to be mine.
Well,
I got me a daughter, y'all.
So is she in school yet, or do you have
No, unfortunately, we found her family and
Oh,
I
okay.
gave her back to them.
Damn it.
But for a second there, it was awesome, which is probably, how people without kids think a lot. If you have to just hold them for a couple floats at a parade route, they're great.
Uh-huh.
But when you have to, actually have to deal with them and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's
So
not
that
good.
was station 2 of my paternal Mardi Gras experience.
So that's the end of your.
But I would have kept her. I was like, if we don't find your parents, it's okay.
Weirdest-
And then we never actually even did find her parents. We found some people that said that she said was her family.
Oh, no.
Like they identified her as theirs, and she said that she was theirs.
Oh,
also.
good.
And I was
All
like,
right.
okay, that's 2. Here, take the kid.
Yeah, missing child story.
But when I looked down at her and she held her arms up at me, and I was like, yep, we're partying.
Oh my God.
It was a beautiful, beautiful little experience. I loved her.
Jesus.
But on to Monday.
All right, so Alli, we were talking about Monday. So you and I have very different experiences of Monday. I think that I'm used to Monday being kind of chill.
Yeah.
And I'm used to it being the gap between this big peak on Sunday and recharging a little bit to go back and really kind of get it on Tuesday and like send everything home. Mm-hmm. And, in fact, for as long as I can remember, well, not for as long, but when I was a kid, like there really wasn't a whole lot to see on Monday night besides Proteus, which is a beautiful parade and everything, but it wasn't something that pack the kids in the car and get them down to see Proteus. It was just, if you're uptown, here comes this uptown parade. It's this old line parade that's really pretty.
Yeah.
But, since the mid 90s, Orpheus has existed, but I'm of a generation, and I guess that still sees it as kind of the new thing, and also not something that fits my calendar. It still doesn't really fit my calendar very well because I'm like transitioning from Sunday into getting ready for Tuesday, and Monday night is like I don't want to get too drunk on Lundi Gras because I'm getting up in the morning, right?
That is a classic Mardi Gras attendee resident conundrum.
Yeah.
Don't get too drunk on Lundi Gras, and it's about 50-50 as its success rate.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, right?
Yeah, like every other year, you generally get too fucked up on Lundi Gras.
Yeah.
I generally just have a couple beers on Lundi Gras, but like for me, so usually I have to work on Lundi Gras, but this year I didn't, and I had Ash Wednesday off too. So I knew
Your new company is cool.
So coming off, man, it's awesome. So coming off Sunday, I was so excited because I could relax, I could clean the house, I could sleep in, like all of that, and get ready for Tuesday. But also, I knew I could go to the Lundi Gras parades and just experience them and get my mind right for like Lundi Gras as a lead up into a beautiful Tuesday. And that's what I wanted to do because at my old job, I would always be like rushing to get down to the parades, and I would usually miss Proteus because I was late getting down there and it was never in the right like mood for it. And also like that was the night that I would always watch it with like our friend Greg Peters, and we always watched it at Avenue Pub. And so that's like my spot. And so even though Greg is gone, I always feel this pull to go watch Lundi Gras parades at Avenue Pub. And so this year I was like, I can do it. I can do it right. And Orpheus is one of my favorite parades. It's the most beautiful one, I think, in like all of Carnival. And I was just so excited. So this year I went down there kind of early. You guys came down, which was awesome, but like the crowd, there was a weird like outlaw motorcycle gang there, which had me a little nervous.
They had Confederate flag beads on.
They had Confederate flag beads. One of them had a t-shirt with a swastika on it. I was a little nervous, but they dissipated, so I don't know what happened to them. But
wasn't a big deal.
They didn't cause any trouble. But Proteus was beautiful. They had this Wagner theme.
Yeah, they were doing the ring cycle.
The ring, yeah.
And yeah, Proteus is always gorgeous.
My God.
Proteus is never not gorgeous.
And those.
That's why the Nazi
The
motorcycle
Nazis were there to
crews,
see
'cause
the
it was a
Wagner.
thing.
Yes, I did think that.
But I love Proteus too. They have their floats are on the old like 1890s float chassis, so they're narrower and they rock back and forth harder, so they like match that old 50s footage of like the old line crews like tottering through the corridor. You know, it just has a very like antique look to it. But the floats are beautiful. And they're all lit by flambeau, and it's just really lovely. And then Orpheus is also just stunning. And I feel like right where we were, we could kind of see them coming around the curve of St. Charles Avenue, which was really special.
Yeah, that is kind of a neat. It's especially, I think I have like one or two really good photographs of the Smoky Mary making that bend.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, Orpheus has some of the most stunning floats, and that damn train, that is one of the most gorgeous things.
It's so cool. But you know what my favorite is, though, is the Leviathan. I think that's the best float in all of Carnival. I love that float.
I like the train
I'm
a little bit
Smoky
better.
Mary guy.
But
the thing I like about the Smoky Mary is because it toots.
Yeah.
And it's always got some music
That horn
rocks.
That horn is really loud.
yeah.
And what is the biggest?
Well, so there was an arms race for a long time
Yeah.
amongst Orpheus, Bacchus, and Endymion to see who could put out the biggest float. And I think that the last time anybody cared about this, the Pontchartrain Beach float at Endymion is the biggest one. But I don't know, because it's been a while since that's been the controversy of the year.
Oh, I love the Smoky Mary. That's my favorite.
It's amazing. Orpheus, I also should say, it's so hard for me to like think about it because I'm never in like I'm never as excited as I am for other parades, but it is an amazing parade.
It's so good.
It does a couple of things. It has some of the floats like the Smoky Mary and like the Trojan Horse that use a lot of like big exciting lighting and stuff. but it also, like, their regular floats that they run have this perfect combination of, like, nice size, but also well artistically designed pieces. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, they always look great.
They're beautiful. Yeah, and it's a co-ed crew, too.
The other thing about Orpheus that is impressive to me is that they talk about how important music is to them because it's Harry Connick's parade and they're named Orpheus, and I thought that was kind of like
they have those steel drummers.
Well,
from Petoskey, Michigan.
From every year, every year they're there.
They have that.
They're like the Coast Guard float, man. They're there every year, man.
And they have that calliope at the beginning, but the parade itself is really cleverly staged in a way that there's always a great like marching band coming, and there's I don't know what it is they're thinking about that makes it work, but there's always, you can hear the music behind the float in front of you, or I don't know. The experience of seeing Orpheus is like you do get the idea that they're thinking about music the whole time. Yeah. So it's a good parade.
Yeah. It put me in the right mind frame. It was beautiful. I was really glad I got to see it. I was glad I got to see it with friends instead of by myself.
Yeah, that's cool.
And but I was prepared to see it by myself. I've done that before too. Yeah, I was really glad. Didn't get home too late, and it was like, all right, let's move on to Tuesday.
I got a little too drunk on Lundi Gras.
Oh, really?
But it didn't.
So that was your year.
Yeah, it didn't hurt though.
St. Anne Shart year, I got too drunk on Lundi Gras.
Yeah, but the good thing about it is that by that point, you have enough alcohol in your system and your tolerance is up enough that you probably aren't going to hurt yourself.
Not
probably.
Short term. So, we had hung out at me and Jeremy and his whole family had all decided to spend the night at the Deurty Boys gallery and wake up fresh for in the quarter early on Fat Tuesday.
Is that what you did?
Well, hold on now.
Oh, okay.
So we were kind of getting it in the quarter, myself and Tisha, my homegirl from the Bayou, and several of her friends, and we were at Molly's. But two of Jeremy's kids, the two high school age girls, decided they wanted to see the parade. And I was like, well, if y'all want to see the parade, man, I'll take you to the parade, because Jeremy wasn't having it. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll take him to the parade. Now, I'm like, I don't know how to watch kids, but these ones are high schoolers. How hard could it be? So we go to Molly's and we drink up and stuff, and then we take them off to the parade. Everything's fine. Nothing horrible happens. But while I'm there, my homegirl Tisha, who has never been to this parade and has never been to Mardi Gras downtown on Fat Tuesday, she's really having a good time. She's trying to show Jeremy's kid the 610 Stompers and, you know, how fun they are and stuff. Well, she kind of just gets in front of a group of, like, everybody in this family is like 6 foot and over. The husband, the wife, and both the boy kids.
Okay.
And they yell at her and tell her she's in their space, blah, 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 blah.
She's a little tall herself.
She was a little bit on her lunar cycle, so she was very emo. And that was a theme throughout. Like, every woman in my life that I talked to was saying, yeah, I'm. So that happened.
It was Lundi Gras.
Yeah, I know. That was not lost on me. So she was really upset about it. And I was like, no. You just got to understand. Those are chads. There's these things called chads at Mardi Gras. And they take up too much space and they fuck up everybody's time. And, you know, it sucks when it does happen, but can't let it really fuck with, you know, the rest of your life. And she was like cool with that. So she got a little crash course in that sort of shit. Both Jeremy's kids had a great time. As we were walking from the gallery, I was afraid of missing it, but as soon as I kind of got the parade into view, I saw just the front half of the Smoky Mary come into view. And I was like, yes, that fucking float. We chased it all the way down, and we got ahead of it and saw it, and that was beautiful. And then we were going to go we dropped the kids back off. We showed them their first parade and stuff. They met their friends and stuff, and everything was nice. Kind of give them a little bit of a crash course. It was the third moment of me having to watch kids at a parade. But
you had three moments.
Three
with
separate
children.
incidences where I interacted with kids. At
you were
parades,
dealing with children 3 times.
So new to me.
Gotcha.
And then we were going to go see Quintron and Katie Red at One Eyed Jack's, but sort of ran out of gas and just drank at Harry's instead. But we were right there at the quarter, and we we're going to wake up at the gallery the next day.
So you did spend the night in the gallery?
No, we went in to where our air mattress had been inflated the next day, and it was just flat.
So where did you end up spending
We
the
had
night?
to Uber back to Holly Grove.
Oh, no.
And spend the night there. But it was all right because we didn't wake up in the midst of a family trying to get their shit together.
Yeah,
it was
that
just
makes
she and I at the apartment, and everything was fine. Although, when we were Ubering back in on Tuesday morning, I realized that whole thing, like everywhere else, it's just Tuesday. Actually, in fucking Holly Grove and Carrollton, it's just Tuesday too. There was a bunch of people just kind of going to Walgreens and getting gas and like waiting on the bus and stuff. Like, I was like, it doesn't really look like Fat Tuesday here. So everywhere else but certain neighborhoods, it's just Tuesday.
So we've reached Tuesday.
Now we're in.
So
It's
we
just
should take a
Tuesday.
break.
Oh, you want to take a break?
All right, no, I'll go.
We got to finish this episode at some point.
I'll continue my story. So we woke up that morning and it was Tuesday. And of course, it took a long time to get out of the house. I was not even remotely dressed in my costume. Mm-hmm. And neither was she. We just needed to get up and get the fuck out of there. But it took a long time. And I swear to God, we made it downtown about 11:30, which is late as fuck.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
When we were driving there in the Uber, as we were getting close to the quarter, I was kind of looking down off I-10 East, and I was like looking into the streets that were crossing, and I saw so much people getting it. And I was like, Jesus, yeah, I'm getting excited here. So we get off on the North Claiborne exit, and our Uber driver hates traffic. She's just like very irritable about there being a lot of traffic and is bitching about some shit that had happened to her in some traffic like 4 days ago. So I'm like, okay, it's cool. You might see some shit, so be all right. And then we go, and she wants to avoid Elysian Fields and Claiborne, and I'm like, okay, take a right here. Well, she takes a right there, and as soon as we get in there, there's just like a whole fucking crew of Mardi Gras Indians just right in front of her. And a bunch of people just everywhere. I was like, oh, sorry, girl. I thought that was going to be a shortcut, but we got some Indians here.
So did she put you out there? And
no, she started laughing. She cracked up, and there was a moment there. So she backed up down the street, dropped us off. We made it to the gallery, and I started, costuming up.
You want to talk about your costume?
I was dressed as Beyonce Knowles from the Lemonade video. I made my costume Saturday night.
Right. Without the hot glue.
Without hot glue. I tied everything.
Right.
It was a pretty accurate representation of her dress from the video. She had a lot of ruffles and I had a lot of tassels, but it sort of represented it. I wore full makeup and eyelashes and long fingernails and all that. Felt very pretty. Toted with me a little radio that played the entire Lemonade album all day. I
missed that when I ran into you.
You just saw the bat?
Yeah.
Once I started walking around the city is when I got the little radio out. And this little motherfucker came in handy because anywhere I wanted to just stop and put it down and then dance, I could. Mm-hmm. And I did that on the toolbox of my truck at one point, parked in front of the Deurty Boys. At Camellia Grill, we had the radio. They let us play it at there. This was like 11:30 at night, too. They let us play it there. Everybody was into it. We had a little dance party. We did one at Pirates Alley. I had a really long blonde wig. I felt very pretty.
Yeah, the wig was impressive. When I saw you, I saw Jeremy, I had no idea what you were costuming as. So I was like, is Lance here? And he was like, yeah, he's right over there. And I looked over and I had to wait for you to turn around so I could see your face. And I was like, oh, holy shit. My mind was not prepared for what I saw.
Lance as Beyonce.
Yeah.
That was something. What I was interested in are costumes where you have to carry shit. Like you had a bat and the boombox.
Yeah.
That's not aggravating to lug around with you all day, or?
Well, I have whatever the D&D term for is the most of something. I am a 10. Well, let's just say in costume commitment. So I will do whatever it takes, no matter how hard it is. If it makes the costume even 5% better,
okay,
then I will do what it takes. I did kind of wimp out on the shoes. I wore sensible shoes because I also learned several Beyonce dance moves from some YouTube videos. from the formation video.
That's commitment.
Yeah. So I had spent, a few weeks just learning some very basic moves that anybody who just kind of looked at me for a few seconds would say, "Oh, Jesus, he's dancing like the formation video."
Okay.
So it would be legit,
Yeah, for sure.
So I did that. I carried a bat and a boombox, but the boombox helped me because sometimes there wasn't music, and if I still wanted to kind of,
Where did you hold your beer? I guess is what I'm, or like, what?
I would hold the bat and the beer in the same hand,
Okay.
or I would
guess
hold
can
the
make that work.
boombox and the beer in the same hand.
As in this photo, in which Prince is looking at behind you.
I thought about toting Prince with me for a little while, but I didn't want to take away from B,
Yeah.
It was all about B. It was my best Mardi Gras day ever.
Really?
Mine too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mine too.
You guys are super pumped about it then. Both
I
of
don't,
you.
it wasn't my best Mardi Gras ever, which the nomenclature for that is 97.
Yeah, I've heard
Even
this.
though my 97 year has since been eclipsed by other years, your best Mardi Gras ever is a 97.
I've heard this from you before.
Because it's just a better way of saying, oh, what was it, a 15? That's not as fun. A 97 has a little... I don't know if this year was better than 97 or not. I know 2015 definitely was my best Mardi Gras ever. But this was my
Is
best.
that the Shart year?
That was the shark year, yeah. When I got behind early in the Super Bowl, but managed to eke out a victory. But this year for me, I totally kicked ass on Mardi Gras Day. Like, I was getting it till, like, fuck. I booty bounced for at least 2 hours on Frenchman and Royal. By myself.
You didn't pull a muscle or anything, do you? I mean, that's
No,
That's,
I was doing good.
I know your knee isn't so good. So
The only thing that stopped me was a girl that we were with who's like 98 pounds, had been drinking all day in the sun and got dehydrated and fell out. And then a few drunk EMTs came around and thought she was ODing on drugs. And then a bunch of other like drunk people who were just trying to help came around. And there was like a crowd of about 15 people surrounding this like girl in our party. And they were dragging her around. Nobody knew what to do. Her eyes were rolling back in her head. The EMTs were yelling at everybody, and the EMTs were just drunk revelers also, who just happened to not be on duty.
Right.
And they were saying, "She's not responsive. She's not responsive. We got to get her to a hospital." Blah 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 blah. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's yelling. I'm just watching and say, "Do you need me to help or anything?" And then I look next to me. And this guy who's a friend of hers just looking down at her. He's like, "Man, I hate it when she does this shit." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "She does this shit all the time. She gets too fucked up, and then everybody's got to take care of her." I'm like, "So you're just saying she's just too drunk?" He's like, "Yeah, this happens all the time." I'm like, "Oh, because everyone around us thinks that she's ODing on drugs or something." He's like, "Nope, she's just drunk," which ended up, I found out,
But to be true.
later, yeah, she
Okay.
just got drunk and passed out on the street.
Okay.
That busted up the booty dance part because everything was going good right up into that point. And then we walked back to the gallery, and then we had a dance party on the fucking toolbox of the truck.
Did you also have a toast? You said there was a toast.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah. I was there for that too.
Oh, were you?
so the crew of Ragnarok, who we roll with in Chewbacca's, and who was at the Box of Wine Parade, they came by, and I figured we would just do a Mitch Landrieu style toast too, because they do it, and it's a very pompous,
Yes.
so here's the, all that fucking bullshit. I was like, well, let's just do that, but we'll do it with 40 ounces instead of, we'll do it in the quarter across from Harry's Bar. It's the dirtiest fucking nastiest corner in the fucking quarter,
Right.
It's the least pompous one.
Right.
We did it with 40 ounces. I got up on a little ladder to give the appearance of the bleachers in front of Gallier Hall and stuff like that.
To the distinguished royalty of the crew of Ragnarok, it is a great honor to raise our glasses to you and your bedazzled, glorious members. May your year be filled with wealth and health, May your sexcapades be long and filled with love. May your revelry be fierce, but your hangovers be short. You are each and all a unique, vital fabric of pleasure that so exemplifies the deep, rich culture of our home. So on behalf of the Deurty Boys, we raise our glasses to you. Hail Ragnarok!
And then we smashed them together. The foam went everywhere. The beer went everywhere.
It went all over Pat, who was standing right next to Lance, who had no idea what the 40s were going to be for.
Before I smashed them together, I think on the video there is a warning, like if you don't want to get covered in alcohol, move back.
I don't know about that.
Or something. Well, it's all on video. So
We'll check the tapes.
There's no reason to even debate it. It doesn't matter because even if I did or I didn't do it, I didn't give anybody time to actually do that. So that was just my way of saying, hey, if you get covered in beer and you get upset, don't say I didn't warn you, even if I maybe didn't. And then we got it. We got it the whole day. It was a good fucking day, man. It was full of revelry. It was definitely not a winding down type day.
So this was your best Mardi Gras day. Would you like to talk about yours since you seem also enthusiastic? It
was also my best Mardi Gras day. We left the house. So it was me and Pat and my friends Sarah and Alana, who used to live here but have moved, and I haven't seen them in a couple of years. So this was like a really fun thing to get to like spend the day with them as well. And our plan was to roll with the St. Anthony Ramblers, who meet up on Mandeville Street in the Marigny, and they have Panorama brass band. So we got into costume, and Pat costumed this year, which was really fun. I think this was the first year he did and it was actually stuff that he had already had in his closet the whole time. I wore my my Crew de Vue costume again, but the four of us headed down to the Marigny and met up with St. Anthony, and we didn't really know what was going on. Turns out, like, all you have to do is you just tip the band, like, you pay the band, and you get a wristband, and then they give you a map of, like, which bars you're going to. First we went to Sydney's, and then we went to our bar, and then we went to, I can't remember. It's all a haze. But Panorama rules. They are so good, and there was, like, 12 of them, so it was, like, the full Panorama experience. The costumes were incredible. I was just so stunned. I saw several themes. One was animals. Oh my god, there were so many animal costumes this year. The other one was like mystical woodland natural stuff, so like antlers or like leaves and moss and like plants and like just really like mystical shit. And the third one was Statues of Liberty. So many Statues of Liberty in the quarter this year. We started out, we were in this courtyard when we were like waiting for everything to kind of kick off, and it was still like shady and kind of cool, and there was a nice breeze. And then as soon as we started marching, it was like, oh wait, no, it's really fucking hot. And it was like a very hot and sweaty day. But we did our best. I wasn't really drinking very much. We weren't out there just like getting hammered or anything. It was more about just the experience and the dancing. And so we tried to stay close to the band and really just experience the whole revelry. Right around our bar, we met up with St. Anne. And so there was like a big drum circle. We saw Pits in them and the Interrobang and the Galactopus. So it was just like this continual like melding of like just like seas of people like all through the quarter. And I've experienced that in the past by just like running into them and seeing what we see and going with the flow. But this is the first year that we've actually like followed a crew around and like followed with the same people. And by the time we got up to Jackson Square, we're like several hours in at this point, and it was just magical. Like there was this big breeze and we're out in front of the cathedral, and Panorama gets in a circle and they're doing these like slow build kind of music where they each take like a little bit, you know, and they tone it down and then they like build up to a big crescendo, and everyone is just kind of like around, like surrounding them. And, you know, there's just people everywhere and you can feel the breeze off the river. And it was, it's just this really beautiful moment.
Music has such a big part of it when you're participating in revelry in the quarter.
Yeah.
The people who are walking around with their instruments or in a band, such an interaction with people who are just enjoying it and partying with it. It's like nobody's on stage. You're not going to see a show. You're part of it, and they're a part of it, and they get your rhythm going. And like if you're kind of like over it, or you're in a block that's not cool, or you had some bad experience, or ran into a chat or whatever, you can always just kind of flow back into a scene like that, and be rescued in a way. It's beautiful.
It was. It made all the difference for me to like be with Panorama and experience that music. And when we were in the quarter too, you could hear on certain blocks where the walls were denser, the sound would be bouncing around, and it was just the most beautiful day. We ended up at Harry's and at the gallery, and you guys had these hot dogs, which saved my life.
The pink hot dogs?
Oh my God. I hadn't eaten. That was like the best hot dog I've had in my entire life, because it wasn't the hot dog I deserved, but it was the one I needed.
You go to war with the hot dog you have.
Yes. It was the only protein I had all day. It was like, I was fading fast.
Yeah, that right sandwich is also like running into the right band too.
So we ended up we kind of stopped following them after that, but we were getting to kind of late in the afternoon at that point, and I was feeling so good, and I was like, I feel like I could stay out longer, but I knew that Pat was like probably about ready to go back, and by that point, my friend Sarah had gone back to the airport, so it was me and Alana looked at each other, we're like, we kind of want to stay out, but maybe we should also go back while we're still on the high point, right? Before we're like miserable and don't want to go home.
It's the best way to end Mardi Gras Day is to realize you've done it, and you've seen it.
So we were like, we got to walk all the way back to Franklin, so let's maybe start heading back and see what we see and like take it as it comes. So that's what we decided to do, and we saw still yet more amazingness on the way back, including in the middle of Elysian Fields, a food truck that had banh mi and kimchi fries.
Nice.
And that was another little beautiful Mardi Gras miracle.
Just food oasis to food oasis.
Oh my God. It was like, because we knew we had a bunch of food waiting at home, but we also knew that we were going to need to like shower in the worst way and just like kind of maybe like lay on the floor and die a minute and then come back to life and then cook food, right? So, because we were just like tired. I think Ryan Sparks on Twitter had a little tweet about like 6 a.m. like, I feel great, and then 4 p.m. oh my God, I want to die, everything hurts, Jesus Christ, take me now. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly how we felt. But it was, I don't quite know how to, I mean, you guys know like what it's like to be downtown on Mardi Gras Day, where like everybody is costumed and there's no bullshit and no tourists really, and if they are, they're chill because they know what
really
they know what they're doing.
Overwhelmed.
And it's really just like, all the bullshit gets weeded out and it is just a party, and I love it so much also because it was cathartic, and Tuesday especially I think is the most beautiful expression of public space and collective action in public space that we have.
Yeah, there's no chads.
No,
I cannot see the chads.
But
there might be some people having a bad time.
But it's more than that. It's all of us not working and taking over public space to do this beautiful artistic thing together.
It's order overturned, but for the purpose of just communal experience. It really is a very beautiful thing.
It's amazing.
And that Tuesday, and I know this feeling that you're talking about, and when it happens to you that Tuesday, but you can also get it. Like I get that feeling, on that Sunday night, but and I try to kind of reflect on that by the end of Tuesday. And that's where you're kind of like looking back on this building exercise we've done. If you really go do as many of these events as possible all throughout the season, you feel it building. And, for me, the repetitive experience of going out to watch every parade is kind of getting in the rhythm of seeing that. You go out and you know the street is normal, and then you wait for it to slowly kind of break down, and then you see the wave come down, whatever show is coming down the street, and the loud noises and the things that cause people to dance in the street and get all excited, and then that goes away and order's restored kind of. But you kind of know that it's the order isn't really what it was before. Something has punctured the normalcy of it, and you know that there is something under the surface that is waiting to be released. And you see that happen again and again, and it gets more intense and more intense every day of the season. And then there's some point where it just explodes everywhere. And by the end of it, by that Tuesday, you're feeling that again. You're kind of like you're reflecting on it. You're thinking about, you mentioned the word catharsis, and that's really what it is. And I wanted to mention at the top of the show, but now there's a good time to bring it up, is Bart Everson wrote a really great essay about this in Mid-City Messenger, where he talked about how around the world, the experience of Carnivalesque is it's double-edged. It shows you how the social order can be overturned, but it also reinforces it by turning it into like a theater of the absurd that kind of also reinforces the social order. Mm-hmm. So there's multiple
Everybody
facets.
Shows out and says is so proud of their own little role, no matter how everyone says I am this, I am so this,
right?
And
does it?
I challenge you with my role here, or what I am.
Right. So it's either a challenge to it, or it is a profound acceptance of it. So it's either it can be both. But what I see in it, and I try to see in it every year, is the potential. Like I see, there's just an honesty that's expressed throughout all of it. And it's this long, it's not just one day or not one instant. It's this long procession of, well, here comes the crew of Détat, and we know who they are. They're Comus, right? And they're these plutocrats, and they, here's their point of view, and they're putting out there what they are and what they think with their monuments, comments, and whatever. But they're not all that's in the streets. We're in the streets.
Yep.
And there are so many different social groups and iterations of joy, but also just expressions of who you are and like magnifications of who you are and what you are. Mm-hmm. And if you step back from like your own little tunnel vision of what you've seen and try to see as much of it in the round as possible, you really get this huge view of where, like it's a great way to see where your city is, like on a spiritual, political level every year. And that is, for me, that is what gets me up to go see it every year.
I had a good example of that on Tuesday morning that I didn't mention in my story. Is like I had come into the gallery, I was late, I was not costumed, everybody was way ahead of me, I was trying to get my shit together, I was sitting on the couch, I had finally gotten costumed, I had not had a beer, and several friends of ours, crews of friends of ours, were lining up for the bathroom, which we had said, like, look, if you're friends of ours, you can use the bathroom, but we don't want just general public using our bathroom, just friends. And I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm just a little frustrated because I've not got my shit together. Everybody's way ahead of me. And I see a man walk in. He's about 6'4", maybe 60 years old, tall, manicured, successful white guy, blue-eyed. Everything about him is just successful dude, right? And he's dressed in OR scrubs, and I can tell they're his. Uh-huh. He's a surgeon. He wore his own shit. He's going out as himself, right? It's not a costume. Just the way he walks. He's walking like he's about to walk into surgery.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And I identified that immediately. And I can tell he's fucked up, and he's looking for a bathroom. He doesn't know where our bathroom is. So he's going to like the closet, and he's looking in there, and he's like going over to this other room, and he's looking in there, and he's got a piss bad, and he's fucked up. And I'm like, excuse me, sir, can I help you? And he just does this to me. Y'all can't see it, but he just kind of puts his hand and just like waves me off, right? And I'm like, oh, no, you didn't, motherfucker. Like, because I got this gallery. This is my motherfucking space. You need to pee, and I got the bathroom. And you just fucking waved me off like a nurse or an orderly in your fucking operating room.
Right.
And he rolled back by me, and I said to the people up front, I was like, hey, y'all, kick that surgeon the fuck up out of here. That doctor's got to go. Kick him out. And everyone's like, hey, who the fuck are you, man? Who the fuck are you? He's like, oh, I was like, kick him the fuck out. He's 86. Get him out. And they fucking ushered that motherfucker out the door, man. It was the first great moment of Fat Tuesday for me. I was just like, get your surgeon ass the fuck out my fucking gallery. You may be the shit at Auctioner, but you ain't the shit at 901
Hey,
Charters.
take that shit back down to Rex.
Your shit your order just got overturned. It was my favorite line. That surgeon is 86. You know, and I never felt there was not an ounce of negativity in me after that. Like I was a little like,
it's good.
Oh, I got to catch up to everybody before that. And it was a good example. It was like, he may be the shit everywhere else, but he just wasn't the shit in that room.
Well, he didn't treat you guys like the owners of the space.
Yeah, he treated us like everybody else he probably treats in his life, you know? He just thought he rolled into the wrong unwashed masses. And he thought that maybe his costume, you know, his gear, his mask, that usually gets him a lot of attention probably wherever he goes. He just didn't get that it wasn't working that place in that time. Mm-hmm. And ended up, who knows where he ended up being.
Probably on somebody's wall or something.
Maybe,
so yeah, that's
like a gutter punk.
Yep, there you go.
It was the great equalizer. Peeing on Mardi Gras Day is the great equalizer, you know. We just happened to have that one day, that thing that he needed.
Yeah.
I was talking with some comrades last night about the class politics of Mardi Gras, and I think one of the most interesting things for me, and this kind of gets at what you were talking about, is that like Mardi Gras is really a multiverse. Like you could not experience it all if you tried. Everyone, everywhere in town is experiencing Mardi Gras in their own way, and that's part of what's beautiful about it.
Yeah.
And like the rich people are doing their rich people Mardi Gras, but that does not in any way prevent you from having your own beautiful, amazing public display of whatever the fuck you want in your own way, because you own it and it's yours.
What's essential about that to me is the intersection of those things. Because you can see so many things in Carnival are a competitive co-option of these forms and symbols used by different sorts of people to overthrow what they see as the established order and then turn it back on. It's this long process of that.
Yeah.
And
Like Rex and Zulu.
so I was going to get into that just to bring in a little bit of my Fat Tuesday experience, because mine is probably the most traditional of the three of us. I sit here at basically the intersection of that. You know, a couple blocks downtown from us is Jackson Avenue, and then a block up here is St. Charles Avenue. And we get up in the morning and we get everything together and we go watch the early morning things come down St. Charles, and we watched Pete Fountain's group come. And this was their first year without Pete, and that was significant. And then we go to see Zulu. That's a great spot to go watch Zulu, by the way. We go to OCH in Jackson. There's this real good mix of people there. I saw a lady in a costume there who was dressed as Marine Antoinette, where she was done up in this like really, really well done wig and everything, but like with aquatic animals and stuff on her. So she was
amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. But anyway, so we go there and we watch Zulu, and I saw Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins.
Oh.
And
Wow.
And saw the you see the king and the queen, and we get about halfway through the parade before it's time to walk back, because we have to go to Second and Dryads and see the Wild Magnolias come out. Every year I go out there and watch them, and they come out and they sing Indian Red. This year was one of the better years to see them do that. There have been some times where that spot has been a little uncomfortably crowded with, cameras and stuff. And obviously there's always people there taking pictures. But this year, for whatever reason, and I don't know if this was well planned out or something, but it opened up in a way that kept people at a distance, but also allowed them to see, and also it just made it felt more inclusive and also not intrusive on the event. It was a really great time to see that. And after that's done, the timing works out that you can walk right back over to St. Charles, and right out here at the Downman Mansion is where Rex stops and has his little toast with the royalty who sit in this house. And the parade stops there for about a half hour to 45 minutes, and they do a series of toasts with the King of Carnival. Also, the King's float almost ran over somebody this year, so that would have been the other tragedy,
ultimate,
right? But they got this lady out of the way just in time. So,
did he do his royal pee break?
yes. So the royal pee break happens, but I feel like just in these few blocks of like walking around to see all this stuff, you see a little bit of every kind of aspect of Mardi Gras in that in the space of whatever it is when we get up at like 7 o'clock to start, and that happens by 1 o'clock in the afternoon Rex is passed. Not really, because Rex stops for a long time, so maybe it takes a little bit longer, but he's here by 11 or so. So by that time you've seen a very wide range of carnival experiences all in this one spot, so that's really cool to me. Rex, by the way, put on a gorgeous parade. It's kind of funny to talk.
It was like carnivals around the world, right?
And so that was a great way to finish the year, by the way, because we're talking about this phenomenon of carnival, and people in New Orleans get so, they get so obsessive about how we're so different and we have to protect our tradition, but it's a worldwide tradition, right?
Yeah.
So it's not really
it's a Catholic tradition.
It's not in as much danger as people seem to think it is all the time. Like it's universal and it's ancient,
but it keeps evolving. Exactly, and it's going to evolve past these fucking old line crews at some point.
It certainly is. Regardless of that, it's not something you don't need to be as anxious about the prospect of losing it. And I think the Rex Parade drove that theme home to me. I think just seeing how big it is and thinking about that as they were going by. And then by the time that's over with, we come in, we have our little food, and I made my 2 pounds of red beans. And there are years when, after that's over with, we walk all the way downtown. This year we didn't have the energy to do that, so
I sure wish you would.
We walked.
I've never seen you downtown on Fat Tuesday.
That's interesting. Since I've known you, I don't think I've done that as much. But
you better come on down next year then.
But for many years, that was the pattern.
Do you costume?
Nah.
No.
Have you costumed
He doesn't.
about anything ever?
I don't want to answer that question in a way that pisses anybody off, but I don't want to. I'm not really a costuming person for the most part.
I'm gonna make you a costume next year.
So anyway,
Sherm's monochrome Chad costume is still available, and we'll dress Jeff up as that. You would be so funny in a costume. I want to see you in a costume.
I usually wear my Saints jersey.
Well, you're gonna feel real lame if you come downtown and you're not in costume.
I've been downtown a lot of times on Mardi Gras Day. I don't really ever
all
feel
the way downtown, all the way to Frenchman and Royal, where the big booty bounce party's happening and the drum circles are going and everyone's getting it. Mm-hmm. Well, you'd be doing it better if you were in costume.
I usually Pat doesn't costume either, and he did this year, and I thought it was so much better because we were both costumed together, and like I don't know, it felt a lot better to me.
It's good.
Plus, we had the music and everything. But we got home and like made all our big mess of food, and then watched WYS for the rest of the day.
Nice.
Which is like the greatest thing ever. Because I mean, I think the Rex and Comus.
The ball.
Oh,
I want. It's hideous.
It's
grotesque.
It's grotesque, but it's also like I have to watch it.
Yeah. So
I cannot look away.
I cannot look away.
This is the final class intersection that happens in
exactly.
Carnival. We sit and live tweet the freaking Rex ball.
Yeah.
And look at how terrible these people are, right? And
how much fun is it? It can't be any.
But there is a not insignificant part of me that wants to go. I want to go to that fucking ball.
And do what? Be like, look at these fucking assholes.
No, I want.
Throw me out.
I want to wear a pretty dress in the kid gloves, the opera gloves. Oh, totally. I want to do it one time.
I'm perfectly content to sit here and watch them on TV.
Well, that's fine, but that's the thing. Like, I hate everything that they stand for, and yet I really want to go. It's like the Oscars, man. I hate everything about their industry, and yet that'd be pretty fucking cool to go.
You know what we should do is we should just throw you a fancy party. We should just order some opera gloves, and we'll have our own tableau ball. We could do we just invite some people.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, I got married. I had a fancy party. I'm good.
There you go. Well,
I'm good.
apparently you're not though. Apparently we need to get you some other kind of
Well,
party.
it's just I think it's funny and like maybe there's some because my other feelings that I have when I watch that is like my grandparents came here on a boat like 60 years ago, and so I'm trying like it's funny to think about like what my like announcement would be like if I was like being introduced as a Deb, right? Like
Oh, you do have dreams about this.
no, I just think it's funny. Like I think it's interesting because all these people are in these families that have been here for so long, and they think they're such hot shit, and like I think there's a lot of things to unpack
That is true.
with the whole scene.
That is
that
true.
are interesting, and
that's why everyone is so fascinated with it.
Yeah.
And that's also why it's great to make fun of it. Like they are, and here's the thing about it:
the Queen of Comus said her family has been in the Comus court 45 times.
so absurd.
Like that's insane.
But it's part of this symbolism of like it reduces or it stretches out to the absurd length how ridiculous these people's opinion of themselves and the meaning of their wealth and their power and what they literally get dressed in stockings and fucking crowns and shit.
Yeah.
And act as though but they make
And,
it
like, and rich people in other cities like give to galleries and hospitals and stuff, and our rich people just throw themselves
I
parties.
don't think that our rich people are any more horrible or less horrible than the rich people in other cities.
you're right.
Because they throw themselves a ball. They throw those, I don't want to get into it, but they throw parties that are to benefit these things, but mostly it's just like to throw the big party. Those $1,000 a plate dinners.
You're right, but that's what these Carnival crews are as well.
That's
Except
fine, but those guys are doing it just to say, look how fucking rich we are. And the other people are doing it for that reason also. But they put this little drape of, we're helping out the SPCA.
Also, the Rex organization is charterizing the school system. So, they have that going for them.
I don't have a lick of fascination for Rex. It doesn't thrill me. I've never seen the parade. I've never seen Zulu. At that level of power, there's not much to figure out. It's all the same. They're saturated. There's just nothing different about them than anything. The only thing that thrills me is what's at the bottom. Because you have to be a certain type of similarity to be that rich and to maintain that sort of position. It's the same across the board. They're all boring and stupid and ugly. And because their costumes are terrible, their ball is terrible, they're terrible. They all look the same. They all act the same. There's nothing to see there. It's all in the food truck. We're the thrills. We're where the fun is.
So I think we should probably wrap this up somehow.
Probably. I think Varg just did wrap it up.
He wrapped it up right. Fuck Rex.
Fuck Zulu too, man. Fuck them both.
The way we ended our day was we took a little walk around the neighborhood, not being able to make it all the way downtown. We walked back over to the Sportsman's Corner one more time. And
Isn't that a nuisance bar?
Some people think it is.
That was one of them. When I remember seeing it, I was like, I thought that was one of them nuisance bars.
And it's like, it's where the Wild Magnolias come out every year.
Oh, well then fuck it. It's not a nuisance bar. It's got historical value.
Some people think it's a nuisance bar.
Stacey Head thinks it's a nuisance bar?
Some people do.
Okay.
So we there's a little bit of drumming that happens at the end of the day, and that's like you can stand there and watch that, and you watch the sun go down. And we had the same kind of moment you had on the river, I guess. And that was nice. And then we came in to watch Rex Paul. So, but that's,
that was like at 8?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
7.
I think I shut it down like midnight.
Oh, man.
But
well,
anyway,
you didn't get started till 11, so.
It's true.
We got started a lot earlier than you did.
Yeah. I was getting it more than I've ever gotten it in my entire life, I think, for a few hours there.
So this is one of your favorites.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, it seemed like a lot of people thought this was one of their favorites, and I found that to be very encouraging. I haven't had personally, for these just personal reasons, I haven't had a one where it's like internally that beautiful for me in a while, but I can see it, and that's what matters to me. Like, it matters to me to be able to see how good it is for most people. So that was really cool.
We'll always have that moment of Smokey Mary coming around the bend.
Yeah, that was great.
That looked beautiful. I was jealous of that.
It was pretty
to
great.
see the whole thing, especially her. That's a beautiful fucking photo.
So anyway,
I have a huge crush on it. I get to see when I saw it. Yeah, it toots, and it's got that music. Chicka 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 chicka
Oh,
chicka
it's not-
chicka chicka.
It's not just a toot. That fucker is like, it rumbles through your heart.
It does.
That train horn. Like, it hits you in the ribs.
Do you guys have anything, like a final thought or anything? Because we need to shut this down. We've been doing this for like 3.5 hours.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You'll edit it down.
Not that much.
No, we may end up.
Trimming it into a couple episodes.
This may be a couple
I
episodes.
think the Mardi Gras episode last year was 3 hours, and it was just me and Jeff.
and it was.
So there's no way we were going to be able to get it with an extra.
And we cut it. We cut it into 3 hours last time. 3
Extra.
episodes last time.
I'm not extra.
I mean, with a full,
The full.
strength.
Yes.
With us,
Yeah.
Thank you.
a fully built Death Star.
Fully armed in operation.
Thank you for the phrase. I was searching. I can't think so well because I've been.
Because you're still in a
Mardi
haze.
Gras shit.
You're still in a haze.
According to Jeff, it lasts about a month. So let's go.
All right. Well, happy Lent, everyone. Enjoy the fried fish.
And we will try and catch up with y'all again after we've recovered from the experience of recording this. So,
Good night, everybody.
cheers.